Hello and welcome to Fatman on Batman. All news, all Marc edition. Mighty Kev is up in Vancouver making Supergirl fly, so come on back. We're going to talk about some things that happened this week, and maybe last week, and maybe into next week, on this all news edition of Fatman on Batman. Hey guys, so I'm by myself in the Fat Cave this time, in our awesome TCL monitor appointed Fat Cave that's all pretty and spiffy and there's all kinds of light coming from everywhere against me, bathing me in the glow of my own face, which is a weird thing to say the least. But yeah, like I said, Kev is up in Vancouver directing his first episode of Supergirl. So he will come back at some point and give us all kinds of secrets and nitty and gritty and all of the nooks and crannies that happen in National City. But for now, it's just me. It's just me and you. We're going to have a nice quiet time. Give that man a single. What? I'm calling my own singles? Fuck yes. Back to the two-shot. Just for me. There's nobody else in the two-shot. But I'm just going to do that because it's kind of fun. All right, so let's get to some news, right? First bit of news, sad bit of news. Steve Dillon, artist, who worked for both Marvel and DC, most notably on the Preacher series that he did with Garth Ennis, and on The Punisher that he also did with Garth Ennis, and was also working on a new book for Marvel, a new Punisher book with Becky Cloonan, has passed away. The circumstances still seem to be somewhat mysterious. There's been no official cause of death other than it was relatively sudden, and he was relatively young. I believe he was like 56 or so. But The Preacher especially is a defining series in both comics at large and for me personally. It was the first time that I saw comics as in love with America as I am, and it's funny that only a foreigner can be that kind of in love with America, can see the romance for what it is. I mean, if you're born here like I was, then America is just like, I went back to New York. I'm from New York recently, and I went back, and having lived in Los Angeles for like 5 years, going back, it was the first time I experienced it like a tourist. Like I did all of those things that you do if you're new. Like you go to the Statue of Liberty, you go to the Empire State Building, you go see some museums. When you grow up there, you take it all for granted. But when you visit someplace, you're entranced by it. It weaves this spell on you. And you get the romance of a place when you're a visitor that you don't get if you're a resident. And that to me is what Preacher was to the American West, to the American Road story. It was this love letter to it. Yes, with vampires and butter statue fucking old millionaires and thieves and gods and saints of killers and all that stuff, but it was really a sort of sonnet to the things that America could be and the potential of America to move past some of its earlier sins and become a place that's worth fighting for. And that book would not have been the same without Steve Dillon. I mean, Garth Ennis' words are beautiful and great and fantastic, but I mean, comics is a collaborative medium, and without the art, the words don't, it lifts each other up. It's a symbiotic relationship. One cannot exist without the other, and Steve Dillon was the artist for that book. And his passing has left a hole in comics that will not easily be filled. So rest in peace, Steve Dillon. Godspeed. And we'll just keep reading. We'll go back. You left a lot of good stuff for all of us. So yes, on a somewhat happier note, there was a casting this past week that felt as if it belonged, it was destined to happen. Give me a single. Lando Calrissian was cast for the young Han Solo movie, the as yet untitled young Han Solo movie. And who did they cast? Take another single over here. No, the camera's off over here. Fuck, I screwed it all up. See, that's why I shouldn't call my own shots without Kevin here. It's a waste of time. Donald Glover got cast as young Han Solo. That would be funny, right? No, Donald Glover got cast as young Lando Calrissian in the young Han Solo movie. My dream of dreams, and it was a dream that started, back when I first saw Lando Calrissian swan his way into Empire Strikes Back. And when you get the backstory of exactly how Han Solo got a hold of the Millennium Falcon, he lost it. He won it in a card game from Lando. I want to see that card game. I want to see the Smuggler's Run. I want to see the life of these two young bandits in the middle of the galaxy doing awful, awful shit to people who probably didn't deserve it. I want to see it be fun. I as much as I love what Rogue One feels like it's going to be, this sort of little pocket in the middle of Star Wars where it's a war movie, I want to see a heist movie. Show me a heist movie in the Star Wars universe, and I will show you my money. I will be there first day, online. Not online. I'll buy my tickets early because I'm not a Philistine. But yes, I'm there. You get my money. Donald Glover, who once upon a time was bandied about by the internet for Black Spider-Man, who would eventually give birth to Miles Morales because Brian Michael Bendis read about Donald Glover's pseudo passive campaign to be Spider-Man and said, well, why couldn't Spider-Man be somebody of color? Why couldn't Spider-Man be somebody, who might be half black and half Latino? Why does Spider-Man have to be a white guy? Was the question that Brian Bendis asked. And the answer was, he doesn't. And so that sort of got Donald Glover in the bit of the geek sphere, and that seems to have been at least part of the foundation for this decision from Chris Miller and Phil Lord, who are writing and directing the new young Han Solo movie, the as yet untitled young Han Solo movie, which I think is due out in 2018. But yes, Donald Glover, shit yes, done. I can't imagine anybody else I would want to see do that more than him. Remember, I know I misspoke. He's not playing young Han Solo, although I would also watch that. So yeah, Alden Ehrenreich is playing young Han Solo. So that's taken care of, but now we got that, we got this. I now want to know who's going to be young Chewbacca. So tell me, internet, who should be young Chewbacca? I mean, Paul Giamatti behind the mask would not be weird, right? I would watch that. Maybe some wrestler, perhaps. Just get The Rock. It's Disney money. They can get The Rock to play young Chewbacca. We don't even need his face. We know he's in there. The eyebrow will raise. They can do that shit with animatronics. Universe, let's make that happen too. We had a couple trailers drop. Two very, very noteworthy trailers drop in the last fortnight. We had Logan, the old man Logan, as we in the Fat Cave like to call it, the version of Marc Millar and Steve Niven's book, which posits a Logan at the end of his days. The thing that comics never gets to do. Comics are entirely and always, and it's part of the reason why we love them, but they're the second act of the story. The origin story, which is either one issue or a miniseries or whatever, gives you the beginning, the first act. Here's how he got to be the way he is. We get nothing but second act, which is running, jumping, doing stuff. We never get the third act, which is the ending. Occasionally, like Dark Knight Returns, is the ending of what that Batman story would be. But because comics has to exist always in perpetuity, there has to be a next comic, there is never a last comic. That way we never get an ending. Except occasionally these comic book companies will decide to give us one. And Old Man Logan was that thing. So Logan also feels a bit like that thing. It's the end of days for our man, played by Hugh Jackman, who looks like he's finally not had to work out for 17 hours a day and eat nothing but boiled chickens and steamed rice for weeks on end to get that ridiculously cut figure. It's him when the healing factor sort of lets slip a little bit. It's him at the end of his run. I looked at that teaser trailer and I was like, it's Unforgiven with claws. That is all I fucking need. If you tell me that's what I'm gonna get, then I, again, am there, first night. Not online, because I'm not a moron. Buy my tickets early, but the good seats. I'm buying my tickets early. I'm not gonna be online early, I'm buying them early. Logan, trailer number 1, totally badass. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 teaser, dropped. And it's just so it's so warm to get back in the world with those guys. I mean, it's just, even the faint echoes of Ooga Chaka, Ooga Chaka. Even the little fucking baby Groot that you see wearing the little tiny Star-Lord jacket. It's just, it is a warm hug from friends that we haven't seen in quite a while. And I'm totally on board. It's funny, I was at the Doctor Strange premiere, which we will not talk about this episode because we're going to wait for Kevin for that. But I was at the premiere and I ran into a guy, can't give you his name, but he had some inside dope into what was happening in the post-production of the movie. It's all shot, it's all in the can, they're starting to edit now. And he's like, you know what? That is tip of the iceberg. It is not at all we got the best parts of the movie and put it in that teaser. He said, there's a boatload of more awesome. So, awesome, more, yes, thank you. Here's the thing I did. While I knew Kevin was going to be gone for about 10 days, I figured that I would start to dip my toes back into things that I have forsaken. Personally, for me, that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I pretty much gave up on in the beginning of the third season. But when I heard that Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider was going to be brought onto the show, I'm like, all right, I need to watch that. So I caught up with the last few episodes of the third season. That gave us, Daisy turning into Quake, and whatever happened with Hive, which is now a villain's name that's in 9 different shows because I guess it's cool. It's like The Company or whatever. And I watched the first 4 of this season, and you know what? I'm kind of back on board. I mean, I think that what they needed to do on that show that they hadn't gotten a chance to do was both reset a little bit, cull some of the old storylines, and just snip them off and sever them off, like Agent Ward, apparently not on the show anymore. And you know what? Fine with that. I was kind of done with the turncoat, betrayal, insidious emotions and whatever. I'm here for the pulp. I'm here for a fucking charger that gets on fire and turns into a smoking hell beast conveyance. That's why I show up. I show up because I want to see, fucking Inhumans hauling off on each other. I want to see big dudes with big guns shooting each other and flaming links of chain. That's why I show up for Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's what I got, so I'm kind of back on board. I didn't expect that to happen, but I'm a little bit back on board. The other thing I caught up with a little bit, given that the namesake of our show is Fatman on Batman, I figured, yes, people on the internet, you're right. I should probably give Gotham another try. So I watched the first episode of Gotham season, where are we? 4, 5, 3? I can't keep track. Mad City, because since they're giving each season its own little name, Mad City gets to be the thing I call it. So I saw the first episode of Mad City. Fish Mooney seems to be back. I don't know why. I think Jim Gordon's ex-girlfriend, fiance, is now running a nightclub that used to be owned by Fish Mooney with her lesbian lover, who was the sister girlfriend of Gallivant or whatever his name was I don't remember. It's I cannot say that I'm on board with this just yet. It seems as if they're kind of going for broke a little bit, which I always respect. I respect it when a show realizes, okay, fuck it. I guess we can just go for it. We can just do whatever we want to do. We want to have a Stegosaurus dude? Fine. Jim Gordon is now a bounty hunter? Okay, why not? Lesbian love affairs? Absolutely. We should have had that from the beginning. I feel like this is a show that, if not in its, as they sometimes call it in behavioral psychology, extinction bursts. It is the when you have a behavior that is out of control and what you want to do is get rid of that behavior, this is the last flare of that behavior. That is the if you bite your nails, you don't want to do it, and you're trying to get rid of it, but right before that behavior goes away, you bite all your fucking nails off. Extinction burst. I feel as if, I don't know if Gotham Mad City will then evolve into Gotham whatever other city it's going to be, but if it doesn't, I kind of respect that they're just playing all their cards on the table at this point. That's a bold move and bold strokes, and I'm all about that. It still has yet to dig into me the way I need a show to at this point in its 4th season, but I gave it a go. I can't, I decided that I owed it to the show to revisit, given that, especially since my entree onto the Fatman on Batman as a regular guest sidekick host person was to do Gotham episode by episode synopses, commentaries. We let that slide for a bit. Probably about 24 episodes, a year and a half worth. So yeah, I decided to check back in. Verdict is still out. Here's another bit of news that is somewhat troubling in the geek-o-sphere. Deadpool 2 is absolutely going to happen. They are making this movie. They are now casting. There's apparently 6 actresses who names still under wraps who are testing for Domino, which would be the female lead in Deadpool 2. But director Tim Miller, that kid that we've been talking about for 6 months, has left the movie over creative differences, which is always this weird catch-all phrase for everybody hated each other, or the script was a piece of shit, or the producer had no idea what he was doing, or the director was off on a bender, or any number of things that can go wrong in the development of a movie all get bundled up into creative differences. In the same way that whenever somebody cancels a tour because of exhaustion, it's never exhaustion. Nobody's tired and gives up $40 million. It's not exhaustion. And apparently the source of the creative differences was a conflict between Tim Miller, our boy, founder of Blur Studios, who by all accounts, leaked the test footage of Deadpool and coerced Fox into greenlighting it, and kept the tenor and the tone and the humor and helped steer that ship into delivering a movie that felt that it was what it should have been. It wasn't reaching too far. It wasn't trying to embrace too much. It was trying to be the best version of Deadpool that it could be. And that sort of thing always ends up falling to the director. For good, for bad, for better or worse, that is the person for whom that responsibility falls. But one could also say that a great deal of the reason why Deadpool worked was because of Ryan Reynolds, who, brought that character to life and absolutely understood the humor and absolutely went for it. Like, that's a guy who pushed the boundaries of what traditional, like, male movie stars in a superhero movie would be willing to do. There's a pegging scene in Deadpool. That does not happen in your average Marvel movie, and I do believe that part of that is because Ryan Reynolds was willing to go there because, again, this movie was about giving you the version of the character that is the most attuned and the most in sync with what we know as comic book readers. But there was some split between those two guys. There was some dissolution of unity. There was some fracturing of the worlds and creative differences. And so Tim Miller has now left the project. They're still going to make it. They're absolutely going to make this movie because when the first Deadpool makes almost $800 million worldwide, you make a sequel. You just do. That is the way Hollywood works. That is the way that math comes together. There's going to be a sequel. Somebody will direct it. We don't know who that is just yet. I'm sure there are ideas of people who could do that. Edgar Wright would be great at it. I feel like Rian Johnson, if he wanted to be super funny, could be great at that. James Gunn could absolutely deliver a good Deadpool, but I'm pretty sure he's busy in that other world. There's a guy who's usually next to me on this here dais who could probably take a swing at Deadpool and make it a grand old time. But we are just speculating at this point. There is nobody has made a decision, or if they have, they haven't told us. So yeah, that's somewhat sad news, only because we wanted that band to get back together, and really nobody wants a replacement Ringo. Unless they did replace Ringo. We don't know. Fucking life model Decoy could have been. Why not? All he's doing is drumming. And the last bit of news was in the spirit of checking back in on shows that I have given up on in the past. Walking Dead. I stopped watching that show about halfway through the Governor season. Not because I didn't like it, like I was ride or die on that show from the beginning, even through the weird-ass lazy detour onto the farm. But I moved, I relocated. I moved from New Jersey to Los Angeles, and in that process, I didn't have a DVR, I didn't have a steady TV, I didn't have all of those things you need to have to stay up to date on a TV show. And it severed the link in the chain. It broke the streak. And once that streak broke, I was never that motivated to dig back into it. And I kept seeing things happen. I saw Terminus, what? Oh, hey, Negan's coming. Well, okay, maybe I'll tune in and see what this whole Negan business is about. And it's about something. I just don't know what that is. I watched the premiere, and I'll say that, I know the internet is divided on this, and that it is true to the comics, and that, yes, they killed a person who probably should have been dead long before, and they killed another person who some people care for, some people don't. I didn't, because I never saw him on the show when I stopped watching, so I was like, oh, they killed a dude I've never seen before. Pity. I do feel like it was a well-done episode, dramatically speaking. I think it holds together. I think the parsing out, the careful, slow reveal of who got a chance to kiss Lucille with their foreheads repeatedly, who those people would be. I will say that there's an element of both sadism on the show's part and masochism on the viewer's part, that this is kind of what they want from their TV. I don't know. When I watch a TV show that I expect to have some sort of conclusion, I don't necessarily want that conclusion to be, oh dear God, that was it. Oh dear God, everybody's dead. Or they just will live in misery till their days are over and good night. And I get that that's part of what Walking Dead is about. I get that, as it says in a very large double-page splash, we are the Walking Dead. It is a show about the humans who have to live in this place and in this time and in these conditions. But man alive, that's a grim fucking future to have to devote what is looking like will be 9 years of one's life to get to the end of, and there will be no resolution to that show beyond they just stop making it. You know, like, say what you want to say about Lost, and I've said it in print and in many places before. You know, it's a show that had overstayed its welcome by about a year, but it had an ending. Now, whether you felt that ending was satisfactory or not, whether you felt that the sort of kumbaya in a church, everybody hugs and goes off to heaven, gave you the emotional and story resolution you were looking for after that many hours of Lost that you devoted to it, open for debate. You know, you will like it how you liked it. I liked the emotionality of it. I liked that it gave me the sense that those characters had finished their journey, even if the sort of logical part of my brain was not happy with how they achieved and arrived at the conclusion of their journey. But at least there was an ending. At least there was a, you know, hey, Battlestar, whatever, Starbuck might be an alien or an angel. We can't tell. We don't know. But you know what? It ended. It had ended in a way that sort of, it wrapped up the show in a bow that made sense in its own internal logic. I don't know what the ending of Walking Dead is beyond, oh, everybody's dead, I guess. You know, there is going to be a no cure. I don't know why I suddenly sound like Mario. There is going to be a no cure, but or John Big Boutte. There's no cure to the disease that gave. I mean, they sealed off that storyline at the end of the first season where they went to the CDC and it all blows up. So nobody's finding a cure to this. This is now just the way things are. So where do they go to that provides some semblance of respite, some kind of retreat? I don't know. They don't seem to be in any rush to get there. Are they going to kill every other human that's alive? Who knows? Are they all going to die? Who knows? None of those things seem to be the, man alive, I'm glad I devoted 10 years to this show. And I don't know what the ending is. The comic seems to not flag at all. I'm sure Kirkman might have thought of some potential ending of what the show could be that would give us, as the viewer, some sense that the time we have invested had yielded a reward. But it's a grim trail, guys. Like, it's a little bit nihilistic, and it's taking a weird glee in that sense of annihilation. But that is just me. That is my take on it as a person who has not watched in a couple of years, and to be confronted with that made me think that perhaps I was, at least for my own sanity, kind of okay leaving The Walking Dead behind and walking on beyond The Walking Dead. But you know who might have thoughts on this differently? Our man, Kevin Smith. Give me a single. Kevin. He's in Vancouver, but he's watching Back to the Two Shot. See, I can do this. I fucked up once. I know. There's no camera there. I fucked that up. But we're back. We can make this happen. I will be back with you a little bit later. I'm going to talk about horror, and I'm going to have a special guest. Yes, I will. It's going to be awesome. I'll see you guys soon. www.com/Kevin Smith on the YouTubes and smodcast.com. TCL gave us some monitors, made us all happy. All right.
Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, click that thing below that says subscribe. Every time you click that, you save a baby kitten from murder.